Hello, how are you? In this video we will see what's the homework that your child was given by the teacher that shocked you. Thank you for clicking on this video. It is presented to you by Question Answer. Thanks to Michelle Maré, Courtney Davies, Charles Martin and Carol Frank for sharing their views on this question. Let's go for Michelle Mare's first answer.
I had this happen twice in my children's schooling career. The first, in a language lesson, the children were tasked on preparing a debate on whether dragons existed or not. The class was divided into two groups, one to say yes with their opinions and one to say no with their opinions. My son was grouped into the yes group. He proceeded to prepare his argument based in scientific evidence and presented the Komodo dragon as the nearest possibility of a real dragon. He was failed in the task, although the rest of his group were passed with a wishy-washy argument. I approached the teacher and inquired why my child had been failed on the task, as he did extensive research and prepared a valid argument. She responded, "Dragons do not exist, period. That is why I failed him." So, I turned around, went straight to the headmaster, presented his paper and his actual research to the headmaster, explained the response from the teacher. He then proceeded to remark his paper. He received an A+ grade. He also proceeded to remark the rest of the students. More than half failed, and the teacher was called in to comment, and subsequently dismissed. The second time this happened, my youngest son was in grade 10. They were given 3 days to prepare a 3D model for a basic farm, town, city, industrial or production facility, showing what buildings and services were required. I complained to both the teacher and headmaster that 3 days was insufficient time to prepare a 3D model and insisted on at least 2 weeks extension. I was not the only parent to complain, which was subsequently granted by the headmaster. My son planned his fishing farm, did all the research needed, told me what he needed. Then together we prepared his 3D model, with buildings, power lines, roads, trees, plants, water source, mountain, fences, fish tanks, waste storage facility and production facility and accommodation. He received a 99% and his project is still being used as an example of the best 3D model ever presented 5 years after he has finished his schooling. I need to add, everything we used for the model, with the exception of the glue and paint, was junk I already had lying around our home. Cereal boxes were used for the structure, toothpicks, matches and old sponges were used for trees, fences and overhead power line structures. String was used for wire and old newspaper was used to make the mountain for the spring that was the water source, river that flowed into a catchment dam. We also sourced some red and black sand from my husband's work to create a dirt road and tarred road.
We continue with Courtney Davies' answer.
I was the child in this scenario. In year 3, I wrote a relatively mature story about spending time with my grandparents and also mentioned Jack Lemmon during it. My teacher accused me of plagiarizing it and claimed an 8-year-old couldn't know who Jack Lemmon was. She sent me home to do a 10-page assignment on him, in addition to my usual homework, as punishment. My mother phoned the school and said I wasn't doing it.
We can continue with Charles Martin's answer.
My brother and I went Weatherby's in the 70s, a rather formal but very good school in London. For context, Alex Ulster was a classmate of mine and Prince William went there a few years later. My brother was told to bring in something red, so brought in a scarf. The next day he was told to bring in something red, so he came with an apple. On Wednesday he was told to bring in something red again, by which time my parents were irritated. So they sent him in with a signed edition of Mao's Little Red Book. In Chinese, the headmistress was unamused.
What do you think? We will continue with Carol Frank's answer. We were raising our nieces after their mother had died. My niece was given an extra credit assignment to do a family tree and go back 3 generations. This niece cared a lot about school and always completed every extra credit assignment. But she simply could not get the information. Her mother, who had been an only child and was adopted, had died, and so had both of her maternal grandparents. We had her father's information. She asked the teacher if she could do mine, her aunt's information instead, and her teacher said no. The teacher said that as it was an extra credit assignment and not required and my niece already had an A in the class, she didn't need to do it but could not substitute another person's information. My niece was in tears over this. I went to the teacher and told her that my niece was upset and there was no reason for this. I asked her to accept the family tree being done on someone else or I would go to the school board. She did. The video is over. Thank you for staying until the end. I hope the video has you more. If so, you can subscribe and activate the bell to miss any video. Also remember to leave a like. The video is over. You can continue discussing this question in the comments or find another question that interests you. See you next time.